Living Waters presents On the Box.
It's not another edition, it's the edition.
You're right.
Yes, it's a 1 year anniversary
Today.
since Bring on the Cake.
Where is the cake?
Tony's got it, that's right. Tony's at home.
He's eating the cake all by himself at home.
You can't have your cake and eat it too, Tony. So Tony's still sick. We pray that God will quickly heal him, and it's a pity he's not here for the 1 year anniversary. So do your welcome.
Welcome. I forget what I'm saying at that point. I don't think a hangnail would keep either you or I out of the studio, but it did for Tony.
Yes, yes.
Hangnail.
I think he's got a bad back, and so please pray for
All
him.
right, so I did a radio interview in the carport.
Oh, you warned me about that.
Yes, on the way here, and I was a little nervous because of a reason.
Why?
Because somebody pickpocketed me. I feel like somebody's pickpocketed me.
Your microphone's not turned on?
I don't know. That's true.
Yeah, it's not turned on, so talk nice and loud. So what happened in the van? I'll lean over.
Oh, it's a little too close for comfort.
And spins. So you're in the van?
Yes.
And you had to do a radio interview.
Okay, so I had to do a radio interview, and I was very nervous to do the radio interview in the carpool on the way here.
It's because of your wickedness in the past.
Okay, I admit it. When I would be driving, really loud, like some rap song or something, and you would see the people on the phone begin to panic. No, turn it off. And I was hoping that nobody would do that to me, since it is a radio interview.
You're holding your concentration really well while he's changing your earpiece now. So let me just take this over for a minute. Yesterday, there was some controversy or controversy over the General Douglas MacArthur quote, where he said, the enemy is in front of us, the enemy is behind us, the enemy is to the right and the left of us. They can't get away this time. I love that quote. I've used it. It's in the Evidence Bible. It's in one of my books. Mark quoted it one day while in the pulpit, and someone came up afterwards and said, General Douglas MacArthur didn't say that.
That is true. In fact, I just got a message through Facebook saying that it isn't General MacArthur, and they sent me some other person's name, and they had backed it up, substantiated it to some degree, but I didn't.
This is quotes.net said it was General Douglas MacArthur.
Okay, so here's the
However,
problem.
here is the gentleman, Lewis Burwell Chesty Puller. Is that the guy? Lieutenant?
That's what was sent to me.
Yes, and apparently he may have said it, and MacArthur may have ripped it off from him. I don't know. That would be sad if he did. It's called plagiarism. Then again, both of them are dead, so we'll never find out, and maybe till Judgment Day. But those who don't know who Chesty Puller was, he lived from 1898 to 1971. He was an officer in the United States Marine Corps. Puller is the most decorated U.S. Marine in history and the only Marine to be awarded 5 Navy crosses. So he was a big deal, and perhaps he said that, so we really won't know. So remember Chesty Puller. If you want to quote him again, say, we don't know who said this, if you're ever going to quote that again.
A wise general,
yeah, that would do it. Some military chap.
You know, somebody inside of our church just received a Bronze Star. He flies one of those black Apache helicopters, and he just got back from Iraq. And on Sunday, the pastor had announced it to the congregation that he received a Bronze Star. So he went above and beyond the call of duty, protecting
I guess in a helicopter,
the soldiers.
He went above and beyond.
Yes. Only you would be able to find anything that you could possibly use. Now, how would you use that in a witnessing encounter?
I don't know.
See that? You got to be. There's only 2 times you need to be ready, Comfort.
In season and out of season. Okay, what's next?
Which you always are. All right, so open air trivia. We left them hanging a bit yesterday.
Them is you.
All
folks.
2 of you.
Yes. How many pounds of butter will the average American eat during his or her lifetime?
Do I get a chance to answer that?
Give it a try.
I'm going to give it a go.
Give a stab.
I have no idea the answer, but I'm going to take a stab.
This is in pounds.
I'm going to say 1,000 pounds of butter.
Why are you saying that?
Because I think of how much butter I put on my English croissants.
Or could it be that the answer has been sitting right on the desk in front of
I haven't even looked.
Yeah, what's in the... Does anyone else take a stab?
No, nobody else took a stab at it. So how many pounds of butter will you eat over the course of your life? What do you think? Quickly put it in.
We don't want to spread this out too much.
I can't believe it's not butter.
You can't? Yeah, so 2 little stupid puns. So, what do they say? It's 1,005 pounds of butter the average person eats during their lifetimes. That's a lot of butter. I like butter.
So I'm healthier because I'm only eating 1,000.
I can't believe it's not Buddha. That's what Buddhists will say on Judgment Day.
That's right. Hey, Ray, we have this question from time to time. I don't know if you get it when you're not open air preaching, but I definitely get it. And this person says, I've heard you guys say that an atheist needs to be omniscient in order to say that there is no God. Why is that the case? I mean, as a Christian, we don't need to be omniscient in order to say that there is a God. Why do they have to be omniscient to say there is no God?
They can say it, but for it to be true, they have to be omniscient. And the illustration I use is, if I say there is no gold in China, which is an absolute statement, what do I need for that statement to be true? Well, I need to know there is no gold in China. I need to know what's under every rock, what's between every rock, what's in every riverbed, what's beneath the soil. Because if there's one piece of gold in China, if I see a Chinese person yawn and he's got a gold tooth, and I said there's no gold in China, then I'm wrong. There is gold in China. So to make an absolute statement, there is no gold in China, I need absolute knowledge there's no gold in China. And the same applies with God. For anyone to say there is no God, they need to be omniscient. And only God is omniscient. Conversely, do you like that word?
Yes.
Conversely, to say there is gold in China, I don't need absolute knowledge. All I need to do is see a Chinese person yawn. Oh, I see a gold filling. There's gold in China. So I don't need absolute knowledge. I just need to know a little bit. And it's the same with God. To say there's no God, I need absolute knowledge. To say there is a God, all I need to do is look at creation, and I know God exists, because creation can't create itself.
Right, and we argue from the standpoint of the biblical God. I've heard even individuals come up and say, hey, what if God is hiding out in the center of Pluto and he just hasn't revealed himself to mankind? You can't say there is no God, because what if he is hiding out there in the center of what used to be a planet, Pluto?
Yeah.
God might exist. We argue from a biblical standpoint, the God of the Bible, and he's made himself known to all of the world. Now, you may not know the attributes and the characteristics of this holy God, and that's where we come into play. That we go into the highways and the byways, and we tell them about the one who they suppress in unrighteousness.
Like Paul in Athens.
That
Before
is-
we go any further, we have a couple of people in studio, Sandy and Eldon from Maryland. And we just
Wow.
want to welcome them today.
That sounds like a very cold place.
Yeah, it's you know, in Southern California today, at 79 degrees, no clouds, blue sky, and no wind, and hardly any smog.
Eat your heart out.
No, we shouldn't say that.
Oh, it's horrible
It's,
here.
it's really, it's a feeling of, we have a sense of guilt, and it's not good.
I feel bad.
And there's nothing like beautiful white snow. Is there? Snow is beautiful.
Well, actually, I'm going to be neck high deep in snow this weekend, because I'm going to go right outside of Canada in northern Minnesota. It's taken 12 hours to get there.
You think you're going to get there in 12 hours this time of the year?
It's 3 flights to be able to get out there.
That's 3 chances of delayed flights, Mr.
Wow.
Spence. I would send ahead a video overnight just to make sure of yourself in case you don't
That
get
is
there.
good. We actually did do that.
You did?
Not because of those reasons, but they can have something to show. Right now, this might be a silly question this person asks, but do you like to evangelize?
Yes and no. And the reason for that is, it's like saying to someone, do you like feeding starving children? All around you, children are dying in the heart of Africa. Do you like that? And I would say, no, I don't like that. It's a terrible task to be. It's a grievous task. And not only that, I don't like the sense of rejection I get when someone says no. I don't like being persecuted. I don't like people speaking horribly of me. Don't like being hated for his name's sake. I rejoice in that, but none of us likes rejection. And I take great consolation in Spurgeon's words when he spoke of evangelism as being an irksome task. It really is irksome. I don't like the feeling of fear I always get before I get to open air preach, before I get a witness to someone. There's always that battle with fear. Fear has torment, so I don't enjoy it. I'm honored that God calls us to do it. I am delighted when I've finished witnessing to someone.
Yeah.
When I come back from open air preaching, I'm clicking my heels because I haven't wasted my life. So at the end of it all, I'll say, thank you, Lord, for condescending to use me and use anyone to preach the everlasting gospel. You know, Mark, years ago, when I used to preach in the local square in Christchurch, I would encourage myself with this thought when I had people yell at me and just say, get out of here, just all sorts of stuff. As I was leaving, they'd be yelling from the crowd. I'd think, I have the privilege of preaching the everlasting gospel in the last days in the uttermost part of the earth in the city that bears the name of the Lord, Christchurch. And it was the uttermost part of the earth. If you got a great big needle and stuck it from Jerusalem, it would come out right by Christchurch. But you have to be very careful because you could wreck houses when the needle came out the other end if you did do that. But it was a great honor and privilege, and it still is. And so it's an irksome task, one we're honored to be called to, and one we're joyful to finish each day.
Ray, are you familiar with the tennis great Serena Williams?
Yes.
Yeah.
What's that?
Listen to what she said. This is what she said earlier this week, and it caught me off guard. It caught a lot of people off guard, actually.
It was a fast serve.
She said, I don't love tennis, but I'm here. I can't live without it. There's a difference between not loving something and not being able to live without it. I have never liked sports and could never understand how I became an athlete.
Because of a dominant father, I think, knowing a little bit of the background.
Very well could be, but she's the best in the world.
Andre Agassi wrote the same thing in his autobiography. He hated tennis.
Wow, I didn't know that. But I'm kind of like that with evangelism.
Yeah.
It's hard for me.
Yeah.
It is very hard for me.
But you're very bold. You're eloquent.
I'm not. But bald, I wouldn't say that. I am receding hairline. I get nervous, I think, beyond all people.
Yeah.
You know, to get up on that soapbox or to engage one-on-one, to hand out that tract the way I should, I freak out. I literally do. I freak out, but I still do it. Yeah. And I love, like you said, when the conversation's going, I leave clicking my heels, regardless of how they respond.
Right.
Because to be fruitful only means to be faithful, to share the gospel. But it's really hard for me.
Well, we take consolation that God's chosen the weak things of the world, confound the wise and the foolish things, and Jeremiah and Gideon and Moses and Paul all had problems with the fear of man and the fear of woman. And it's something we just have to let love conquer us.
You know, it was in the news earlier today that Stephen Hawking was asked, he's about ready to turn 70 years old, Stephen Hawking. I don't know if you Google this, because I sent this to you, but I didn't tell you what his response was.
No, you didn't.
You didn't, yeah. And the question was this to Stephen Hawking. Hey, what is the biggest mystery in the universe? Now, here's this world-renowned physicist, this scientist, where scientists sit at his feet and take notes. Hey, what is the biggest mystery of all? To which he said...
The black hole not having information, or perhaps it's women.
You cheater!
I Googled it!
You cheater!
And I laugh because it's so true. You know, we've got a little book out there. I think it's real cheap. It's Everything Man Knows About Woman. You open the book up and there's nothing inside. We have a woman in studio today, so I'm going to be very careful what I say here. But I've been married for 40 years, and I'm still mystified by one thing about women that I find very hard to understand. And that is this. And if you're just newly married, take this and run with it. When a woman tells you her problem, she doesn't want a solution. She just wants to have you listen to her problem. And it's something I find very hard to understand. But, you know, Sue will come home and say, look, I've had a tough day, this, and this. And I say, well, this, and this will fix it. She doesn't want to know about this, and this. And it's well written among people that study marriage, and women say they don't want solutions, they just want a listening ear. And that's contrary to most men. It's hard to do because we're solution oriented. We want to fix it, and to not fix it and just talk about it, it's just very strange. But where would we be without women?
You know, it's finally still in the garden.
Yes. Yeah.
So it's finally something that we agree with Stephen Hawking. We finally see eye to eye on an issue. You know, I've been married for almost 13 years now.
Same wife?
Same wife, my first wife. And boy, she deserves an award. That's for sure. I'm always getting in trouble, and she's always staying around. Absolutely love it.
Speaking of that,
yes,
there's new graphic art for...
Did you notice what speaking of that means? It means I'm going to completely change the subject right now, hoping that you don't notice, but I have something very important, I think, to say.
You can actually do it all the time. It's a good
and
way
to... And you do it all the time.
With the gospel. You can be talking about something else. So speaking of that, and just bring up the things of God. Anyway, there's new artwork for 180. You see that? I'm going to bring it. That's what the light's up there for. The light swung around a little. Coming up at ya. Whoops. Did you hear that? See, Over 300,000 sold, hottest movie on the internet, 1 million views in 22 days. This is so easy to give out. Now, I can't stand giving the other ones out because it doesn't have this on it. But these have just come in yesterday, and it has instant credibility. I was on my bike this morning and just stopped, gave one to a person, and they saw it, and I just said award-winning, and they saw 300,000 sold, 1 million views in 22 days. So these are available now, still just $1 each. So feel free to grab them. Call the ministry. See how I can get back without breaking anything. Oh!
Careful of that. That's Ray, you're hilarious. In fact, Ray's going to teach you a little bit about that on where he strategically places DVDs on his bike. Did the bike come with a specific pouch to put those in?
No, I found that pouch and sewed it up and put it on.
You are the most let's do it right now individual I've ever come across.
Well, that's
I
nice
wouldn't have a job if it wasn't for that, because you hired me in haste, and I thank you for that.
Big regret.
All right, we have a video, interesting video. I have I think she's 18 years old. It's a mom, and she is back east somewhere. I don't know exactly where. And she ends up calling 911, asking if she can kill an intruder that's about ready to break inside of her house.
This is interesting stuff.
We're going to turn now to the young mom in Oklahoma who aimed her gun at an intruder while she was on the phone with 911. 18-year-old Sarah McKinley says the operator told her she couldn't shoot until the man broke into her home, and the stunning moments that followed were all caught on tape. ABC's Ryan Owens has the story.
I wouldn't have done it, but it was my son. I'd protect him.
This young mother takes maternal instinct to a whole new level.
I walked over and got the 12 gauge, went in the bedroom and got the pistol and put the bottle in his mouth, and then I called 911.
18-year-old Sarah McKinley killed a man, she says, to protect her 3-month-old baby.
I'm here by myself with my infant baby. Can I please get a dispatcher out here immediately?
Late on New Year's Eve, police say 2 men, one armed with a 12-inch hunting knife, were trying to break into her home outside Oklahoma City. McKinley recognized one of them as someone she thought was stalking her.
He was from door to door trying to bust in. They said I couldn't shoot him until he come in the door.
Are your doors locked? Yes, I've got 2 guns in my hand. Is it okay to shoot him if he comes in the store?
I can't tell you that you can do that, but you do what you have to do to protect your baby.
The teen mother killed the 24-year-old intruder the second he stepped inside. Police call the shooting justified.
You're allowed to shoot an unauthorized person that is in your home. The law provides you the remedy and sanctions the use of deadly force.
The second intruder turned himself in. McKinley was home alone that night because her husband just died of cancer on Christmas Day. While her son may grow up without his father, this is one little boy who will always know Mom will do anything to protect him.
I knew that I was going to have to choose him or my son, and it wasn't going to be my son, so I did what I had to do. There's nothing more dangerous than a mother with her child.
For Good Morning America, Ryan Owens, ABC News, Dallas.
Boy, that is an understatement. Boy, what presence of mind to give the baby that bottle to keep him quiet.
And she's been through so much with her husband dying on Christmas Day and all.
You know what's very interesting about that is the other intruder that turned himself in is up for first-degree murder, even though the woman of the house killed the guy's partner.
Because he was there.
Because he was there.
Wow. He should get off that, shouldn't he? I should say. Anyway, the intruder apparently, if we heard, had a knife. But I like what the operator said. You do what you have to do to protect your baby. And then the announcer said that mom will do anything to protect her child. And just made me think of abortion, how the intruder comes in with a knife to cut up a baby. In abortion, or those things they pull off the head and arms and legs, and where is the mother's instinct to protect the child? Then it just made me think of that. So anyway, we need to pray for that woman. She lost her husband Christmas Day to cancer. Now she's got the sense of guilt that she took a human life. I know it was just to protect her baby, but I'm sure she's thinking thoughts like that. So we need to pray that she comes to a knowledge of salvation if she doesn't know the Lord.
Yeah, you know, I think of all of our brothers and sisters out on the mission field in the 1040 window that are taking the preciousness of the Bible to different tribes and groups of people who have never heard the name Jesus Christ. You know, I was talking to a missionary who said he's going into such remote areas that when he asks an individual, have you ever heard of Jesus Christ? The response typically is, that person may be in the next village.
Wow.
That's how crazy it is out there, out on the mission field. You know, yet we are able to see that the safest place to be is in the center of God's will. So whether that's in a house about ready to be broken into by intruders, or over in the 1040 window, or where you live, you know, over here in Beverly Hills.
South of Beverly Hills, about an hour south.
About an hour south. The safest place is at the center of God's will, you know. We have an insurance plan that is out of this world, and nothing can happen to us as believers unless God says, this is part of the plan. This is perfect.
You know, you made me think of something where you often hear when someone was shot by a stray bullet or something, the radio announcer will say, or the commentator or the host will say, he was at the wrong place at the wrong time. That can never happen for a Christian. Where the steps of a good man are ordered by the Lord. We're led by the Spirit. So if you're a Christian, you commit your way to the Lord. Whatever happens to you, if a tree falls down and crushes you to death, you're at the right place at the right time, because your steps were ordered by the Lord, and God allowed it for a reason.
Ray, when you share the gospel, do you share the gospel because you love people? Here's the dilemma. Do you love people, or because you're commanded to do so? It's as if there's no other option here, right? But why do you share the gospel? Is it because you love people, or you're commanded to do so?
I think the fact that we're commanded to do so is a reproach on human nature. Imagine being in the lifeboats of the Titanic, and the captain has to get up and command you to reach out to pull people in that are drowning. You have to be commanded to do that. And so as Christians, we shouldn't have to be commanded. We immediately should be motivated by love to reach out to those who are drowning. And there's all around us, there are people that are drowning in sin, and they're going to be taken to hell. And so the fact that we should be commanded to is a reproach upon our nature.
You know, George Whitfield, I don't know if you've ever heard this, he said, God forbid that I should travel with anybody a quarter of an hour without speaking of Christ to them. George Whitfield.
Well, that's unless he's on a long flight where the person could stay there for 3 hours.
I hope I don't get sick and vomit on that flight. Because there's a flu. The influenza's going around. It's January, right?
Yeah.
Can you imagine being on a plane with me and me
I
throwing
don't
up?
have to imagine that.
I did it twice with him. But one thing I did not do is bleed on your Bible.
Yeah, that's good. Let's just move right along.
He did that.
He
bled. Nosebleed. 30,000 feet. All right, we are moving on. Do you ever worry that someone is going to ask you a question that you don't have an answer for? Now, this is a very common question for open-air preachers.
I don't have an answer for that.
Are you worried?
Yeah, no, I'm never worried, because we can always say no. I don't know the answer to that. So there's an answer to every question, and the answer can always go back to, I don't know. And it's good to say I don't know.
It's humbling, isn't it?
Yeah, it's humbling, and it's good for the person who's asked you the question to realize that you're not omniscient, you are not God, you're like him. There's some things you don't know, and it's good to admit that. And just say, I'll try and find out the answer. I'll call Mark Spence or something like that.
All right. You know, Corrie ten Boom, that wonderful woman of God, she said, there's no panic in heaven, just plans.
Well, that's good.
And if we can adopt that motto, that I don't need to freak out that somebody's going to ask me a question I don't have an answer for, I could simply say, hey, I don't know, man. Hey, can I get your email? I'll look it up for you if you're too lazy to do so. Right? No, but if you don't know the answer, you can look it up. That's the beauty of Google. And that was the long-standing joke inside my house over the Christmas break. Whenever somebody didn't have an answer, my oldest brother, who was staying with us, he goes, just Google it. Yeah. Google it. And I heard it like every 30 seconds.
But I hear that when I hear open air preaching. People are like, Google it and stuff like that. But, yeah, okay, here's a question for you.
Yep.
What does ten boom mean? Something to do with the commandments?
Corrie ten Boom?
Yeah, I mean, but it's an unusual name to be called ten boom. Did the original great-grandfather hear 10 booms or something? So we Google it.
I have no idea.
Google it.
I got no idea.
Google
but that doesn't change the fact that you're going to face holy God on Judgment Day.
That's true.
And that's what we do. That's where you go from there. Hey, I don't have an answer for that. And, it seems to be a good question, but that reminds me of something. How many things do you think you've stolen over the course of your life?
Yeah.
So we use that whole tactic that Ray uses in changing the subject. And if it's really important to them, maybe you could answer it. And if not, you can get back to them another time.
Jesus did the same thing. The Pharisees came to him with one question. He says, I'm not going to answer that. I'll ask you one question first.
All right.
John the Baptist. And he asked a question about John they couldn't answer. So it's legitimate to change the subject because we want to see people come to the cross.
All right, we have a picture for you to see. This is by our own Danny Goodall. Ray, have you ever seen this picture before?
Not before today.
That's a blobfish.
I didn't think it was genuine. I thought this is not real, but it is. This is it looks like a politician who really understands the economy in the United States at this present moment.
Right.
He looks very depressed.
Right, you know why it's like that? I did some research. Danny.
Yeah, he's from Australia. It says that's a fish off the coast of Australia, and he knows that the All Blacks are better than the Australian team in rugby.
What is coming out of its mouth?
A dribble. Keep it on. Why be on us when we can be on that? But that is a genuine fish, isn't it? It's gelatine, isn't it?
It needs a Kleenex.
It's gelatine?
It's something like that. But, I found it interesting that it is like that so it can handle the pressures down deep inside the ocean. Because we, in our current state, if we go down into the depths of the ocean, we won't be able to handle it. So the spiritual application, as I look at that, is if you're looking at anything like that, maybe you can handle the pressures of the world?
Yeah, or it's
wait for it.
For the Christian, if you don't cast all your care upon the Lord, the pressures of this world will come on you and you'll end up ugly.
Yes.
Okay? So cast your care upon the Lord. Do you know the blobfish comes in at number 10, or number 1 of the 10 most ugly creatures on earth? I can't show these to you, but these are really ugly creatures. Look at that one. Really, really ugly. And look at that one. But number 10 is the blobfish. So thank God that you do not believe in reincarnation, because if you look at your sinful heart, you could come back as a blobfish.
Yeah. It's been said that a church on fire is typically in the fire. And if you find yourself surrounded by the pressures and the trials all around you, you can guarantee that not only is the enemy up to something, but the Lord is up to something. And draw near to him. It's a great, safe place to be. And we'll leave with this last open-air trivia question for tomorrow.
Okay. This is powerful. And remember why we do this. This isn't just for fun. This is so that you can keep these and use them in open-air preaching, because they really do get people's attention, because they are from Guinness Book of World Record 2012 edition. What is the record for the most T-shirts worn by any one person at one time?
3?
No, it's a lot more than that. So tomorrow, we've got to give today's answer. We gave that. Tomorrow, we'll give the answer to the T-shirt wearing person. I couldn't stand wearing more than one T-shirt, actually.
You'll never see me wear a T-shirt with something like this. I would never have a T-shirt underneath it.
Yeah.
Until tomorrow, be strengthened, encouraged, and unafraid.
Go serve your gospel. Go serve the gospel.
God bless you.
Here's your yeah, you're good.
You're full of it! Living Waters presents On the Box.